know that Israel certainly has options when it comes to striking in Syria. It has done that quite a few times. And theoretically, it could go ahead and strike these Iranian bases that we know Iran is in the process of constructing on Syrian soil, talking about weapons bases, missile bases, and perhaps permanent military bases as well. That is certainly the Iranian intention. It's not really a question of figuring out the option to strike, but rather whether it's worth it to strike.
There are reports out there that the demilitarized buffer zone that Russia wants to see is 25 miles, and then an Iran base could be there 40 kilometers. Is that not far enough away for Israel's security?
No, Israel basically wants Iran out of Syria in general. That's the message that they're trying to convey here to Assad himself, apparently through a third party, that they don't count on Iran being there. We don't want Iran as a permanent presence in Syria at all. They certainly want it to be, even if there is some sort of presence, they would like a larger buffer. But the ideal goal from the perspective of Israel is to remove Iran as a permanent presence from Syria altogether.
Tell me quickly, Israel, they're warning perhaps through these intermediary cables, we will strike, we may change our own non-interference policy. But don't they do that already when it comes to weapons convoys?
It's true that Israel strikes Hezbollah weapons transfers, and it has even struck regime targets. It's not accurate that Israel has never struck the regime. It has struck regime warehouses at military airports in Syria before in the context of preventing weapons transfers. But here, the question is, will Israel take it up a level and actually strike regime symbols or actual strategic assets that belong to the Assad regime? That would be a whole other level and could bring to further escalation.